Hey, Brainiard, is that a career quiz you're taking? What do you got for the results? You're meant to be a brilliant infectious disease researcher? Hey, not bad for a guy who falls asleep in biology class. Yeah, well, your first assignment is to figure out the following. How many diseases can you get at once? Since the research of diseases has always been well supported and well funded, this should be a walk in the park, right? But before you get excited about sporting the fancy white lab coat, we gotta ask, Brainiard, do you even know the first thing about diseases? No. Yeah, I thought so. In that case, listen up, Brainiard, as we unravel the mysterious science of disease. According to the Dorland's Medical Dictionary, a disease is a particular abnormal condition that negatively affects the structure or function of an organism. Also commonly known as medical conditions, diseases are not related to external injuries. It's important to keep this definition in mind, especially because the word disease is often more broadly used to refer to conditions that cause pain, distress, or dysfunction. In a broader sense, we even use the word when we refer to injuries, disabilities, disorders, syndromes, and infections, which is all to say that we don't typically use the word disease correctly. So, now that the definition has been settled, what's a virus and how does it differ? A virus is a small organism that requires a living host, otherwise they can't live themselves. Freaky, huh? Sounds just like every alien movie you've ever watched, Brainiard. When a virus enters the body, it invades your cells, minding their own business, and takes over the cell machinery, as we like to say. Then it redirects the cells to produce the virus. When viruses enter the body, they risk causing an infectious disease, like the common flu or chickenpox. Man, that was a terrible photo op. Now back to the main star of the show, diseases. There are two camps of these bad boys, infectious as mentioned before, and non-infectious. Infectious diseases are called by pathogens such as bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites, while non-infectious diseases are the result of a person's environment, lifestyle, or genetics. Why is this important to understand? Because how you get sick reveals a lot of information about what is causing you to be sick. Let us explain. Imagine that a human body is the most popular party on the block. All the pathogens are dying to get in. I think I just saw a parasite try to pay the bouncer. So the only way to get into the party is to sneak through the air we breathe, the food we eat, and the liquids we drink. And if they're really eager, sometimes pathogens can also enter the body through openings in the skin like cuts. When someone else carries an infectious disease, if they cough into their hands and then touch a doorknob or a staircase, thus placing the virus on their surfaces, then it's also possible the next person to touch that surface will pick it up, especially if they don't practice good hygiene like washing their hands before chowing down. But once these pathogens enter the body, it doesn't guarantee disease either. Our body's bouncers, also known as the immune system, are often very good at veering off unwelcomed visitors. However, pathogens have the ability to adapt and evolve much more quickly than the immune system. In these cases, pathogens have the upper hand and our body goes into defense mode in an effort to ward off the party crashers. So, that information wasn't only informative to your future career, Brainiard, but it also was a lesson on the importance of hygiene. Plus, you're confident in your immune system. You eat a lot of oranges after all. But what if we told you that scientists hypothesize that there are about 10,000 diseases out there? Wait. Could that be right? 10,000? Well, in 2016, the Washington Post fact-checked this claim and reported that Faster Cures, a branch of the Milken Institute, counted, you guessed it, 10 big ones worth of diseases that affect the human race. The World Health Organization also confirmed the number. What's more terrifying is that 9,235 of those are considered orphan diseases, which is a category of rare disease that affects fewer than 6 out of 10,000 people. If you ask us, Brainiard, we don't like those odds. Thankfully, some of the deadliest diseases such as coronary artery disease and stroke are preventable if you practice a healthy lifestyle. Now to answer the big question, is it possible to catch more than one disease at once? And if so, how many could you catch? You see, in 2010, a man by the name of Soma Solanki was reported by the Times of India to have a record-breaking list of ailments. It was reported that in his 47 years, he suffered 20 carious diseases so much that they sent his medical medical paper to the Guinness World Records for consideration. But before you go looking it up, Solanke never made it to the infamous book, mostly because the Guinness World Records doesn't want to encourage people to beat that one. Because each disease is mutually exclusive of the other or not relevant to one another, doctors consider Solanke's condition extremely rare. But his team of practitioners also affirm that many predisposing factors like heavy smoking most likely led to such a multitude of conditions. Many people, like Solanke, are considered to suffer from a combination, or comorbidity as the medical field likes to call it, of diseases. A 2009 article released in the Annals of Family Medicine Scientific Journal found that 90% of Medicare, the United States primary healthcare provider, is devoted to patients with 4 or more chronic diseases. Similarly, those who suffer from a number of autoimmune diseases or those with multiple autoimmune syndrome also face a difficult time navigating everyday life. Uniquely, autoimmune diseases are linked through genetics and environmental causes. Doctors are trying to figure out if there are common mechanisms between these that overlap. For example, a common combination is rheumatoid arthritis and Sjogren's syndrome. As per why? Scientists are still trying to figure it out. Those with multiple diseases can make things very challenging for their doctors. Here's why. When there's an overlap in medical conditions, considerations must be made for medication, for example. Treatments for various diseases cannot interfere with one another at the risk of the patient. It's like mixing 2 chemicals together in science class. There are some mixtures that are more reactive than others. It could also be hard to seek out treatment. When someone with a multitude of diseases reports their symptoms to a doctor, practitioners could get confused. You may be talking about different symptoms that are unrelated to one another, but your doctor is seeking solutions for only one of them. And then there's the fact if you have a rare disease, which we've determined is roughly 9,000 of the 10,000 diseases in the human repertoire. Are you still hanging in there, Brainiard? We hope you aren't too squirmy from all the medical talk. A rare disease is tough to diagnose simply because most doctors don't see them. If you've ever watched the Netflix New York Times documentary Diagnosis, this is a big problem in the medical world. Experts on a particular branch of a disease aren't all working together in a single lab. No, they're all over the world. This is what experts refer to as the diagnostic Odyssey, which is the unfortunate reality of many patients with rare diseases. They go to doctor after doctor after doctor, and yep, you guessed it, do a bunch of tests in between takes. Often this can take years of not knowing what's going on. But there's some good news. Medical research is a highly funded field. We're talking millions, even billions of dollars go into comprehensive research into rare diseases. But why? A doctor from the Columbia University College of Physicians and Surgeons says that once rare diseases are understood, that knowledge often translates into insights into common diseases. Not a bad incentive if you ask me. So all this talk of diseases must really make you want to never leave the house, right? Does this sound familiar, Brainiard? Well, according to doctors, a few steps could really decrease the chances of you getting a disease, especially infectious ones. If you experience fever, fatigue, coughing, or muscle aches, your body is trying to seriously tell you that you've caught something. But if your immune system is up and working, this should go away after some rest and lots of fluids. The #1 tip for prevention? Wash your hands, like all the time. Secondly, get vaccinated. Recommended vaccinations can drastically reduce your chances of contracting many diseases. Just make sure you're up to date and taking those extra doses if needed. Another important key is to prepare food safely. Cook meats thoroughly, clean your surfaces frequently, and refrigerate leftovers. Don't let cooked foods remain at room temperature for long periods of time. And your final tip is to stay home when you're ill. In this case, sharing is not caring, Brainiard. If you've caught the bug, virus, bacteria, whatever it is, stay home. This will not only quicken the time it takes for you to recover, but it won't spread to other people either. Now, enough of this heavy talk of diseases. You need some good news, like the rest of us. The good news, no, actually, the great news, is that the future of healthcare is beyond promising. General practitioners are talking about using their tablets to do ultrasounds. Little tiny drones will be able to enter into your body and shoot down intruders like cancers or viruses. And then there's regenerative medicine that will be able to grow organs in labs so that the waits for organ transplants won't be so long. Other researchers predict a vaccine for asthma, an algorithm to monitor patients, nanotechnology that will transform chemotherapy treatments, and even a cure to type 1 diabetes. And then there's always robots in fancy lab coats and AIs that that are so helpful that they can reduce hospital wait times and diagnose patients at internet speed. Yeah, we're excited about the future of medicine as much as you are, Brainiard. It's extremely promising, especially for your curious and determined mind, and minds that are determined to enter the field. If the data from UC Berkeley is correct, then there should be no shortage of funding for this exciting field. With governments, non-profits, and private investment supporting the advancement of medicine, there's bound to be more answers than questions in the future. It may be hard to focus on the good news these days, but we swear it's out there, Brainiard. But of course, there's lots to learn in this field, so if you feel like brushing up on other topics concerning the human body, then check out some of these videos. It'll be good to watch something other than Logan Paul. It's just as entertaining, but way more informative. Later, Brainiard.